Hello. I have decided to put my microphone on basically what I'm calling radio mode. So I turned off my other two microphones since I'm just going to be talking with you guys today. So let's see who's here. I'm going to scroll all the way up and I'm going to go down as many names as I can read out as possible. Amy is here, Josh, Oriana, Chris, from the UK, excellent. Hey, Mark, Batmani, who else is it? Leo, Jane. Hi, Jane, how are you doing? Anne Marie, hello. Leon, Unsphered, Pabs, Andrew, Lemon Crush. What's up, Lemon Crush? Haven't seen you in a while. Hey, Carlos. Let's see. Hiya, hello. Let's see. Who else is Majimonkichi? I said Majimonkichi, right? Also, thank you for modding. Let's see. Who else is here? Jamie, Claire. Is there no audio? Who else is it? Magimon. No, there is audio. There is audio, right? It must be my music is not on. That must be right. No audio from the stream. So sad. I must not have had my music going. Oh well, I'll fix that later. Let's see. Did I miss any names in here? Fibina Chickpea. Hello. Scrolling. Jay Cortez. Hello. Okay. There is audio. Yeah, okay. Must have been the music. I did not have music going on. Hi Josh. Hey Natasha. You feeling all right? Hey Einstein. Lovely, lovely. Okay. Pink Kitty, hello. You watched my Twitch stream on Tuesday. Oh, I'm so glad. The topics about medical issues, medication, how it affects mental health. Oh, dang, man. It's real. It's real. I don't know if a lot of you guys know what I have experienced. Yeah. Anyway, okay, before we jump too far into our stream today, I did want to make a mention that so this stream, I want it to be kind of, I guess, different from what you normally would expect of, like conversing with a streamer. I do want you guys to realize that I am quite real and that I would love for us all to be quite civil in the chat. Please know that what you say in there, I can see it and I can read it. Although sometimes the chat is going like you guys are just talking to each other enough that sometimes I can't keep up, or I'm talking and I have to kind of concentrate on what I'm talking about. So sometimes I miss things. So I do apologize for that. But I am here and I can see what's going on. So I would love for a few things to happen here. If we can keep our topics to music, flute, food, can be personal experiences, fashion, stuff like that. But basically, I would love to stay away from kind of your really big topics like politics, religion, that type of thing. So I do recognize what's happening in the country right now. I am in the US, so I do recognize what's happening. It is quite anxiety ridden here. So I would love for this space to be kind of an escape from all of that. Just putting it out there. This is an escape from that. So let's just talk about the things we like. All right. And now if someone says in the chat, you know, they say something about flute playing or music or something like that that you disagree with, I would highly recommend that you not shut them down. Do not shut people down. The moment that you want to say to someone, no, it doesn't work like that, don't say that. Don't type that. You want to instead ask them why. What is their experience? What has made them do what they do, right? Because if anything, you're going to learn a lot from that. I'm only telling this to you guys because I used to do that to my students, and it was a mistake. And honestly, I learned so much more when I ask why. All right. So you might be inclined to think that's wrong, but maybe ask why first. Because if anything, let's say you really are right and the other person really is wrong. In helping them explain what's going on, they will most likely also come to the conclusion that maybe the way that they're doing it is wrong, right? So it's a win-win situation for everybody. Okay. And would love for you guys not to talk in all caps repeatedly. You can use caps to, you know, stress certain words that you're saying for, you know, emotive effects, but not to get my attention, please. What else? Oh, I have a new thing. I'm very flattered by this. Very flattered. But please don't flirt with me. I'm married, okay? I might not be wearing my ring, but my ring is right here. And my husband is in the house. And I very much love my husband, and my husband loves me. And we are in a monogamous relationship. So I would appreciate it if no one flirted with me. I can't believe I have to say that. So, Majimon Kichi, Oriana, are my moderators so far in here. They are the people with their names highlighted in blue with a wrench next to their name. So they will be keeping everyone in check. So please make sure that you guys stay very civil with each other. This is supposed to be a safe place for us all to just kind of chat and like kind of have a little escape, you know? This is kind of our cafe, our online cafe away from the world. Yeah. Are you allowed to join together to be my peanut gallery / cheerleading section? Cheerleading is great. Thank you. I do appreciate that. But the flirting, not so much. Now, I'm not calling anyone out in the chat here. I'm actually not. It's just something that happened earlier this week. Some of you guys might know what I'm talking about, but I did not draw any attention to it when it was happening because that's how you deal with it, with this type of stuff. So, yeah, who's shooting their shot? Someone who apparently thought I was much younger than I am. Like, I'm flattered. Thank you. I'm flattered, okay? I will say that, but I would rather talk about music and flute and food and, you know, all things nice. No, don't flirt with me, please. Okay, I did something different with my tea today. I added a tiny splash of vanilla extract and a little bit of sugar to wake it up. Ooh, this is so good. This is very good. Oh, Eric, you want me to answer some RCM exams question situations? Ask away. I would love to share with you guys my experience taking RCM exams. They were some of my, like, ironically, it is some of my favorite memories, taking those RCM exams. It was a hilarious time. You love my Switch, Doc? Oh, thank you. We did pre-order it. we were those people. Oh. I know, right, Jay? Jay Cortez? It was really creepy. Okay, here's the thing. It wasn't that creepy because I could tell that the person doing it was much younger than me. Much younger. I don't think they realized I was in my 30s. So, like, in a weird way, I kind of was like, oh, I guess I, like, okay, like, okay. But yeah. Lemon Crush, you also pre-ordered your Animal Crossing Switch? I know, so worth it, right? Did you get the in-game Animal Crossing Switch because you have it? It detects that you have it, right? So yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes, Animal Crossing is a home decorating game. It is not just a home decorating game. In this version, it is an island decorating game. In this version, they expanded it so that it's like it's a whole island that you can decorate everything. Anything you can put in your house, you can put outside. It's amazing. It is amazing. Babies. It's kind of funny when it happens sometimes. Do you get hit on by the young ones sometimes too? Oh, right, Oriana. I'm 27, according to famousbirthdays.com. I don't even know why they think I'm famous. Like, it doesn't even make sense. The internet can be the weirdest place in the world. Yeah. People are like, this is why I start out my streams by telling you guys, and anyone who's, new, that I'm real. And that, like, please don't say things to me via typing that you would not say to my face, And that, like, just reminding some people about that does help, I notice. Like, it does help. So, all right, I'm scanning this for Eric's questions about. So, Eric, if you have a specific question about RCM, let us know. Because a whole bunch of us in here have taken RCM exams too. So, you're in good company. Yeah. What is my favorite Switch game? Ooh. Okay. I mean, in terms of playtime, I guess it would be Animal Crossing. I have just restarted Breath of the Wild though. And I was actually kind of inspired because of Genshin Impact, because Genshin Impact is like anime Breath of the Wild. It's like waifu husbando anime Breath of the Wild. Like, it's just the aesthetic of it was like, oh man, I really should go back to Breath of the Wild. I had started it a while ago, but then like I stopped for a really long time. So I wanted to just restart my file entirely. So I actually just restarted my file. And I can't wait to get back into that, to be honest. Yeah. Am I still playing Animal Crossing? Yes, I actually got back into it. I stopped playing for a month a month, 2 months, something like that. But then Halloween happened and you have to play on Halloween. So I played on Halloween, and then now in November, they have a new thing that you can gather. You can gather mushrooms now, and you can like craft with them and stuff. You can eat them too. But yeah. Andrew, you had a 16-year-old female student of yours shoot her shot? Even her mom was like, oh, honey. You know, yeah, it's just, as the older person being hit on, there is a part of you that's like, oh, I guess I'm not that irrelevant. But on the other side, it's like I'm I'm too old for you. I mean, let's not even get into the fact that I am very happily married. I'm in a committed relationship, and there is no way you're going to pry me away from this wonderful man that I found. My outfit is beautiful today. Oh, thank you so much. It's not Zelda a waifu. I mean, okay. All right, fine. Okay. All right. You're right. And Link is very cute. Yeah. Jane, you have difficulty understanding why it's come to the point where we have to tell people not to flirt with us. What is this world coming to? Well, I debated whether I should say this. I debated all week if I should say it today. And I decided I should, because here's what I've committed to on this channel, on YouTube. I have committed to just full-on open communication, right? If I'm uncomfortable with something, I'll call it out. And it's, I think a lot of times some people forget that you can call things out and yet also not feed the trolls, right? So, like sometimes they're not actually trolls though. Sometimes they really think that you can act that way, And like if I communicate very clearly and properly what's happening, then, less miscommunications, right? Unsphere. No, it was not something you said. It was someone who was not a regular. And I noticed in the chat that they were full on flirting with me. And I just did not engage that. So I engaged the other things they said that was not flirting related, but the flirting part, I just did not even engage it. Hey, Nikki. All right, so Eric, you're in grade 9. Oh, come on. It's okay that you're not in grade 9 in the flute. You don't need to hide in a corner. Come on. We're all friends here, okay? We've got plenty of people in here who don't even play the flute, okay? So, like, it's all good. You're not in any music school. That's totally fine, too. You cannot find anyone that can teach you harmony and history where you are. What should you do? Okay, so you need to get yourself textbooks. Do you have textbooks? So the textbooks that I got are for harmony. For RCM, I got these books. I'm so glad I kept these so I can show you guys. So this is called Materials of Western Music. Now this is probably going to be way too old for what you're using it for. So there might be a newer edition or something like that, which is why I'm not telling you the exact edition I have and stuff like that. But Materials of Western Music Part 1. And I believe I have Part 2. And these are really good because they are basically simultaneously textbook and workbook. So, lots of things to fill in the blanks and stuff like that. You can see that I sort of skipped around because, my teacher realized that I already knew a lot of this stuff. So, get a workbook. Workbook, really, really good. Okay, so for RCM, these are the things that you're looking for. Materials of Western music. See if there's like a newer edition of these. Okay, so there's this, and then for harmony, and if you end up doing counterpoint, this is the same, as you can see. It's the same set. This is elements of 18th century counterpoint. So this is also a very good one. So I'll leave that up here for a bit so you can maybe go look it up. Elements of 18th century counterpoint. You probably will find like a more recent edition than what this is. This is very old. It's very old. I know it looks new, but that's just the lighting, okay? Dang, this tea latte is good. Okay, anyway, there you go. Okay? Yeah? All right, I'm gonna put it down now. So, now, for history, it is this book. I have, again, a very old edition, so you need to get the newest one. But the one for RCM is this one, The Enjoyment of Music. I have 9th edition, but that's very, very old, okay? So Enjoyment of Music, okay? So go look up this and look up the latest edition. And so you got all that, right? So these are the workbooks and these are the textbooks that you're gonna use for harmony and history, okay? I'll leave this on here for a bit. Now, concurrently, what you should do is order the old exams. I think you can do this straight off of the RCM website. So order old exams. They are published for you to use as practice, okay? And the best way to get a good grade on RCM exams is to do a whole buttload of previous exams. Okay. All right. So you got this down. Enjoyment of music. Yeah, it's now been relegated into being my my footstool. I know, not awful. Okay. So those are the workbooks and the textbooks. Go online to order the previous exams, and what you can actually do is mail them to RCM for them to grade it and send it back to you. They will actually, at least that's what I remember. They, like when I was taking it, they would actually grade your, like if you took a previous exam, if you send it into them, they'll grade it and send it back to you. So you should do a lot of these, right? But there you go. Is that helpful? Because in that way, you actually can self-study. I basically self-studied for mine. Like I did see a private instructor for a while, but then she very quickly realized that I just needed to do practice exams. And then, all she did was kind of give me tips on the actual exam taking. But really, you get all those tips from just doing all the practice exams. Oh, guys. Yo, a little splash of vanilla extract and like just the tiniest bit of sugar. It's not a lot of sugar I put in there, probably 1/3 of a teaspoon, something like that. Yeah, it's not much at all. Ooh, that's good. I hope that helped. And anyone else who is wondering how to take RCM exams. All right, Let me catch up with the chat here. So just give me a second, guys. Oh, you don't want to do the practical exam without doing the prerequisites first, because you know the practical mark has an expiration date without the theory exams. Eric, that is exactly why I took these exams too. 100% is exactly the same reason you're doing it. I also did them as prerequisites first, made sure I got them before I like just kind of bit the bullet and did the practical exams. Same thing, man. Same wavelength. Yeah, I like it. I like the way you think. Yeah. Lil Jake. Hello. You're learning the flute in woodwind methods this semester, and you used a lot of my advice with using harmonics to help you figure out the instrument. It helps the time. Oh, I'm so glad. Are you in music school? Is that why you're taking woodwind methods? Fantastic. I'm so glad. Great. I know the foam on my tea has a hole on it. It's because that's where I'm drinking from. Oh man, that's so good. That's the best tea latte I've made. Oh yeah. I've been practicing, guys. I've been practicing. All right, see you later, Jake Ortiz. It's so nice to have you here. Oh, and Spirit, wait, a friend recently pointed out some of the things you say are flirtatious without you meaning to them to be. Oh, no! No, I've never felt any, like, flirtatiousness coming from you. So, like, nah, no, you're good, man. You're good. Oh, we telling flirting stories now? I like it. I like it. Okay, flirting is fun when it's two-way. When it's one way and one side is just absolutely oblivious to the fact that that the other side does not want to be flirted upon, oh, it's not a good time. Yeah. Do I think that you can get by with the RCM workbook alone, or do you need more books? I think you can get by with the RCM workbook. I think you can. Here's what I say. You really need to do the practice exams, the old exams. That's what you have to do. You have to do as many of them as you possibly can. That's how you do it. Yeah. All right. RCM written exams apparently now have a listening component to it. Oh, similar to ABRSM, right? I mean, I think that's fantastic. I would have done so poorly on them, but I do think it's fantastic. Like, I do think that it is needed in your music education. That's fantastic. Let's see. Oh, you're welcome, Eric. You're welcome. Oh, I think we did have a time restriction on our RCM exams. I just saw what Jane said here about hoping that there's no time restriction for your ABRSM practical exams. I think we had a restriction. You're talking practical exams. So they definitely, like, because they give you the specific movements and the specific pieces that they want. So they already kind of have you on like a timer of like, got to make sure that you're doing it right, Hey, Josh, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is where I originated from. All right. Little Jake. You're a music ed major, trombonist and vocalist. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yo, playing the flute must be really strange for you, eh? coming from that kind of brass embouchure. So I've been working with a couple students right now, going from brass embouchure to flute embouchure, and we've been having a lot of fun figuring out the differences between the two. Yeah, you doing okay with that? JV, hello. Hey Victor, hi, welcome back. ABRs and practical exams have stopped the scales and arpeggios and listening exams. Yeah, I think it's because of the pandemic. So that's what I've seen so far. They've had to really kind of like revamp how they do exams, because they can't have, you know, the whole like in-person exam situation. Like it's not COVID friendly. So yeah, that really sucks. Is the theory test hard? Depends on how much you practiced. I will say that. If you didn't practice a lot, your brain is not going to be like attuned to thinking that way. And it will be really hard because it will feel like you're constantly translating something. Whereas if you practice a lot, if you've done a lot of exams and your brain is kind of like reading that format of test taking as normal, then and you know, if you've practiced enough that when you like recognize music things, you don't really have to like translate them, that you could just recognize it on the spot, then it's going to be really easy. So it really depends on how much you practice, like how much you're exposed to it. Like you really have to think of music and music theory as learning a language. You know, when you're learning the notes of a scale, it's kind of like learning how to spell, right? When you're learning chordal progressions, when you're learning form, right? It's kind of like learning grammar. It's like learning how to write an essay. You know, like writing an essay is going to be really darn hard if you don't know how to spell, right? Like it's that kind of thing. So you kind of have to think of it that way. Hey, Kane. Welcome back. How are you doing? Theory exams are done online now. Yes, I've heard that. Yeah. Lemon Crush, I've inspired you to make an Earl Grey tea latte. Oh, bougie. I like it. Let us know how it tastes. I did, like, I think it was over the summer. That was when I discovered that Earl Grey tea, to me, tastes so good with some form of milk with it. Like, I don't know. It just gives it so much body, you know? Kane, your Christmas gifts consists of 5 books. The Life of a Musician. I love it. Simon, thank you. That is the edge of the flirting rule. I do have a flirting rule here. Please don't flirt with me. I'm married. I know I don't have my ring on, okay? It's over here, okay? It's just because I've been playing the flute. So, you know, you run the risk of, like, scratching your flute. Ariana! You're back! How are you doing? Oh, it's so good to see you. Jane, you'd be forever re-recording for the exams. Okay, you know what? That's actually a good point. Let me make a point about that. So for those of you who are doing recorded things for auditions, exams, things like that, let me give you a tip. Yes, this is a tip that I've been giving all of my students. And it's, you know, you'll know when the due date is for you to, you know, send off your recording. So what you want to do is at the very least 2 weeks before. My suggestion is 1 month before. Okay. You want to make up to maximum 5 recordings of whatever it is you need to record. You need to do 5 takes per day. Okay. No more than 5 takes. All right. And this is because we are human. So it is going to be pretty impossible to get a 100% perfect recording. But you will notice that usually the second or the third recording is the best, sometimes the fourth. Okay. So what you want to do is basically build a collection of good recordings. Okay. So you can do, if you do 2 weeks before, right, you'll have about 14 good recordings to choose from, right? Because it's 1 good recording per day. Okay. But 5 takes per day. Now, what I suggest before doing this, in order to just get yourself used to being recorded, is that 1 month before, 1 month to 1.5 months before you start actually recording yourself. Actually, 1 month before you start recording yourself, you actually want to practice recording yourself. So it can be as easy as, taking your phone. If you're going to be recording on your phone, you take your phone, you point it at yourself, and you record. Okay, you have to practice pressing the button, okay, and then playing, right? It's weird how the action of pressing the button and then playing kind of creates this feeling of insane hyper self-awareness of what you're doing, okay? So you have to practice that motion, right? You have to practice the motion of pressing record, feeling like it's recording you, and then playing. And so what I have suggested my students to do is practice recording for like a month before they start actually really truly recording themselves. So what I tell them to do is, that is a whole lot of recordings though. So the first bit, you could just throw them away. Okay. All you're doing is practicing recording yourself, right? You want this motion, right? All the motions of setting up your recording device, pressing the record button, and then sitting down to play. You want all of that to be practiced, right? The other thing that can happen by practicing this is that you run into all of your technological problems sometime within that month, right? Your battery will run out. You'll realize that you need to keep it charged. Memory will run out. So you realize that you need to have enough memory in your device to record you, right? The worst is when this stuff happens when you're actually supposed to be recording yourself. So if you kind of experience all of these things beforehand, you knock out a lot of the unknowns, right? So I've had a lot of success with my students doing this. I tell them to just straight up delete the recording afterwards, because all you're doing is practicing recording yourself. You're not actually truly recording yourself. So you need to get used to actually recording yourself first before you do the real recordings. And the real recordings, you're much better off doing 5 takes a day for 2 weeks. And then you'll have this nice collection of good takes to choose from to send off to your audition, exam, etc. So there you go. Hey, Cand, how are you doing? Welcome back. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. That's what I've been telling my students at the very least, and it's been helping a lot. Yeah. No more than 5? Yeah, per day. No more than 5 per day, because realistically, not much is really good past the 5th one. I can tell you from experience. You guys remember that collaboration I did with, what were they called again? My brain is not cooperating with me. So I'm going to look at my own. It's like at the tip of my tongue. Like I really want Extra Lives. That is. So you guys remember the collaboration I did with Extra Lives? I ended up recording all day. I think it was ended up being close to an 8 or 9 hour session. For that little bit you see. Yeah. honestly, it would have been a lot better if I had just done, like, let's say I did like an hour session, right? Much better if I did 8 1-hour sessions. I would have had a lot more good takes to choose from because I would be a lot fresher, like, each day. You know. Yeah. Josh, you're so bad at recording yourself. Josh McCoon, it took you 2 weeks to get your audition to sound right since you started recording. You got in, but it was a painful 2 weeks. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, you really need to practice recording. You can't just expect that you can just practice and be really great and then, like, it's all gonna go down the chute the moment you press record, because, like, technological problems can happen and then it'll frazzle you, and then then you have to, like, troubleshoot the technological problem, which, like, eats into your recording time. If you haven't experienced those technological problems before, you're going to be troubleshooting from the start. Whereas if you're already experienced, then you kind of know what needs to be done, right? Oh man, I feel you on the painful 2 weeks though. Dang. Do live streams take less time to prepare and get work into than actual videos? Oh, hell yeah, Einstein. This is why I sit here for 2 hours, every other week chatting with you guys, because this is the easiest way to get content up here. Yeah, I am right now working on I'm again revamping my schedule to incorporate time to edit. Editing takes a long time. I'm still working on the platinum flutes videos. There's going to be 2 videos coming out. I finished one, and then the other one I am finishing. I just finished the rough edit this morning. It's amazing how long they take to make. My goodness. Hey, Frank. Welcome to the stream. Hey, Michael. Am I going to play the flute today? I did. On Twitch. I am relaxing right now and having a tea latte. So no, I'm not going to be playing the flute right this minute. No. I did earlier today. It was a good practice session too. Yep, I'm making it through the entire third movement of the Iber without looking. And I apparently did it so accurately that Twitch thought that I was Marcel Moïse. I'm not mad about that, but Simon, you're not flirting, you're gay. All good, man. Don't worry. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. I'm only saying that, Simon, and I think you missed this part of this stream. I talked about it at the early part of this stream, but someone earlier this week, went full on flirting in the chat over on Twitch. And I just did not engage the flirting at all. I just ignored it completely. And I spent this entire week from that point on wondering if I should say something about it. And I realized, you know what? I really should. I'm just going to say it. I appreciate compliments. Thank you very much. Compliments, absolutely. You guys throw them around at each other too, please. Okay. We could all use compliments. Yo, man, the straight up flirting, that was, I'm like, and I could tell that this guy or girl or whoever it was much younger than I am. Much younger. If anything, it was funny, but at the same time, I realized that, you know what, I should just straight up for the sake of everyone's sanity, and just so it doesn't snowball, you know, uncontrollably, like, I'm just gonna put it out there. Like, it is a new chat rule now. Don't flirt with Joanna. I got flagged for copyright. Yeah, I did. They thought I was Marcel Moïse. They literally thought I used Marcel Moïse's like audio, but it was actually me playing. Jane, you haven't been on Twitch lately. You've been busy knitting. Oh, you've been creative. That's what I that's what I care about. You've been creative, been doing something with your hands. Excellent. Good. I mean, drop by when you can, but by no means do you have to feel obligated to drop by. Magic Monkichi, you know who I'm talking about, right? It was funny. I was trying not to like call attention to it though. And eventually they left, which I knew that was going to happen. I mean, the stuff is predictable, okay? You don't feed the trolls, they go away. That's how the internet works, okay? So that's why I was thinking, if I make a mention of this, am I feeding the trolls? And I realized I'm not. There is a distinction between communicating properly and feeding the trolls, right? And besides, we can all laugh about it together here, right? I figured that you guys would think it's hilarious. You sent me a whisper during it. Okay, you knew what was going on. Good. Next time, feel free to boot them. I can't believe I just said that on stream. Magic Monkichi, you could just boot anyone who like you realize is spamming flirting with me, that is. Yeah. My goodness. Steven, you recently commented you used my code for Flutes Under New York and you tried a few flutes. Oh, we're going to start the purchasing process on a Brandon flute? Twinsies! Yay! Oh, that makes me so happy. I hope you enjoy your new buddy, your new flute. Oh, how lovely. Oh, that's so wonderful. Okay, I'm just gonna see if I like missed anything. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm reading all of your audio horror stories here. Reading Kane's. Yeah. What do I do to warm up fully? That's a great question, Chris. I'm just going to scan here to see if there are any other questions as well. And I can answer them all at once. Okay. I'm going to scroll back down. So, Chris, I think what's happened to me is I play often enough that I don't necessarily have to, I'm like always warmed up, if that makes sense. But that is not to say that I am the same every day. No. I am not a robot, okay? So I do kind of have to diagnose how I am feeling that day. So I use harmonics to do that. So I just do harmonics on C, and I go from C4, which is middle C, all the way up to C7. Yeah, it's pretty high. But it's a great diagnostic tool to tell me, like, how are my low notes feeling? How are my middle register notes feeling? How are my high notes feeling? Do I have some tension somewhere? Is my posture kind of weird? Do I have some breathing issues that day? And so what I do is I just kind of diagnose how I'm feeling that day. And then based on the things that I find about myself during that kind of harmonic series, I just kind of keep those things about myself in the forefront of my mind while I play other stuff for the rest of that session. Does that make sense? Yeah. Should you record in a reverby room or a dead one? For the flute, somewhat reverby, but not a bathroom. If that makes sense. So when you guys hear me play the flute in this room, this is a high ceiling, but with carpeted floors. So it's like not entirely boomy, but it's not entirely dead either. Part of the charm of the sound of a flute is the natural reverb of the room, like in the room that you're playing in. So have your recording device about 5 to 6 feet away from you for that specific reason. And then make sure you're recording in a room that's like kind of somewhat reverby, but not like bathroom levels of reverby. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Any tips for troubleshooting for beginners? Really, you just have to do it. You will not know what problems will arise until the problems arise. Okay. So in terms of how I have learned how all this stuff works, it's because a problem happened. I did not know what was going on. So I Googled it. My Google search history is filled with the stupidest technological questions, but that is how I learn. I also will frequently go on YouTube watching tutorials on, camera stuff, microphone stuff. But then again, I'm a giant nerd about that stuff. So it kind of depends on how interested you are. You could just go the problem solving way, which is Googling everything that happens and learning about it that way. Or you can just straight up just watch a whole bunch of videos about how this stuff works. That's another way to do it. Oh, Jane, you shouldn't be apologizing. No, well, here. It's okay to feel what you feel, but at the same time, you should know that you are allowed to not feel guilty. I appreciate your support, but at the same time, you got to make sure you make room for yourself too. You're important, all right? You don't have to just keep showing up for my streams for me. You really don't have to. All I want to know is that you're doing okay. Show up like this every now and then. Let me know you're doing okay. People being terrible in stream makes you super uncomfortable. I know. That's why I have mods now. Yeah. 2 worst places to practice voice or flute is in the bathroom or the car. Oh my gosh. I had an epic lesson with a student who, due to the circumstances of what happened, just with work and stuff like that, he had to take his lesson with me in his car. The dude played the entire Chaminade concertino in his car. And it was a stunning performance. I was so impressed. It was insane. It was insane. It will forever be one of my most oh my gosh, one of the highlights of my teaching career. I even told him, I was like, do you want to maybe reschedule to a different day? And he's like, no. And the dude played the entire concertino in his car. It was amazing. It was seriously one of the greatest feats that I have ever witnessed. It was amazing. Because he's like anyone would feel so cramped in a car. Holy, that was amazing. How do you overcome the feeling you are disappointing your family by pursuing music as a career? How do you know you're good enough to make flute performance specifically a good career? Kane. All right. Chris, I always say not to smash the flute in our faces. You feel like if you just set it lightly on your lip, then it sounds bad? Well, you can also think about going up and down and see where it goes. You really don't want to smash it in there, though. it can be anchored in there, but not like, oh, like that. Okay. All right, Kane. I think what I can do for you is share with you my experience. Okay. Now, I was fortunate enough to have parents who are wild and crazy enough to support me going into music. Okay. But you kind of have to see it from their perspective too, and as to why they were so supportive. They were supportive because they were not expected to pursue their dream. In particular, it was my dad. My dad wanted to do things to do more with like psychology type of thing, and but his family was like already basically prescribed him to be an engineer, and he felt that he could not be an engineer. And he actually did a complete vocational like switch. I guess it was in his 40s, yeah, 40s, I think, 40s, 50s, something like that. He actually changed his career entirely. So, and this was when my brother and I were around. So we actually watched him go through a vocational change, and he just was so much happier because of it. He was happier, he was more fulfilled, and you can really tell that he wished that he did it earlier. And I think that's exactly what he wants for us. He wants us to be able to pursue what we really want to do from the get-go and not be like him and do the switch so much later down the road. So, like, my dad is basically kind of like how, like, a lot of you guys come to me and you're like, how do I convince my parents to let me do what I want? And I'm like, well, you're kind of talking to the next generation down from that. Like, if anything, you should be talking to my dad, because my dad went through that. So anyway, that was why my parents were so supportive of me going into music. My mom did get to study what she wanted to study in university, and she really loved that. So of course, she was really supportive of me and my brother studying what we really wanted to study. Now, I do understand that feeling of like, how do you know that you're good enough to make flute performance specifically like a good career? Okay. Like, it's tough, all right? Because when you're in school, you think that when you come out of school, that will be your ticket to say, okay, I'm good enough now. But once you get there, you realize you're not. And then you keep going and you realize that due to your education, you do know more about the flute than most people do in the world, right? And so you are a professional, but you don't feel like a professional. And what I've learned is you will never feel like a professional. That's not something you feel. You will never feel that way. You are always going to be learning. You are always going to be tweaking how you play. I now finally understand a lot more, I think deeply why my master's level professor, she is known to take flute retreat, like flute retreat vacations for herself, and she will just like practice the flute all day for like 2 weeks. And like, I think she does this like once a year. And I used to be like, oh man, the dedication that this woman has, but now I realize it's not dedication. It's the fact that you are always learning. And so she is actually setting aside time to learn. And so you're never going to feel like you're good enough, but you will recognize that, you are doing all the professional things, like that you are doing all the things that, that you are doing them. But in terms of that mystical feeling that you thought you would feel as a professional, that's not real. It's not real. And if you feel that, you might want to re-examine yourself. Because the moment you feel that, it marks the moment that you think that you've learned enough, right? So I would say that, because I would say that for me, I also had really terrible imposter syndrome, and I still do. And so I, changed my career to be such that, I could be mentally healthy. So a lot of you guys have wondered why I stopped making YouTube videos the way I used to, which was, I'll film in my own little room once a week and then edit it down into a fun little video, like tips, tricks, advice about flute playing, stuff like that, right? And then I stopped doing that. Why? One, I got really burned out. But two, it was feeding my imposter syndrome in a very negative way, because it was sort of painting me as this person who knew everything about the flute. And the thing is, that's not me. I don't know everything about the flute. And I will be the first person to admit that. But I love learning about flute stuff in front of you guys. I love having you guys see me react and live in front of you guys learn something about the flute, or different flutes and how they react to people and how they react to me. And oh shoot, maybe if this is, if situation A is happening, it must imply that situation B might be happening, right? Making those connections in front of you guys. I think that's, to me, it's a lot healthier mentally for me, because it solidifies that it does both things. Making these streams and these videos, making these reviews, right, demonstrates that I am a professional. But at the same time, it also demonstrates me learning still, right? It does both. And so anytime I have that voice in my head that says, when are they going to find out that you're not good enough? I can be like, oh, honey, they already know. They are watching me learn about this stuff actively, live, right? You guys can watch me practice for real on Twitch. You guys can, all of my real practicing, all of it is streamed. I don't play by myself, right? And anytime that voice says, when are they going to find out you're a fraud? I'll be like, well, if they think that, they have all the evidence that they want, right? I have an answer to that question now, right? That's how I overcame that feeling of am I good enough to do this, right? I realize now there is no such thing as being good enough. There's no such thing, right? It's more about your attitude. It's more about how do you, the thing is, if you come out of music school, you're already at a baseline standard, okay? When you come out of music school and you go into the real world of music, you realize that everyone who's come out of music school, we all have the same baseline. So in the end, it doesn't matter how good you are. In the end, it matters more if people like working with you. If people like working with you, then people will hire you. People will want to collaborate with you. People will want you to teach in their studio. People will think of you when they want to do a random recording project. People will, you know what I mean? People will think of you because they like you, right? So like in the end, it doesn't actually matter how good you are. If you can graduate out of music school, you're already at a baseline competency. All right. You're competent. Okay. That is the word. I know I'm competent, but do I feel professional? That's a whole nother thing. Yeah. So like you need to pay attention to what are the questions you keep asking yourself. Are you trying to hide yourself? Are you trying to be not authentically yourself? And how can you take steps to make sure that you are actually authentically yourself? So the steps that I took last year was I really needed to move away from making these like tips and tricks videos every week because it was kind of painting the wrong picture of me, right? I realized that it made me look like this person who knew all about the flute. But no, I don't, okay? I might be a professional, but no, I don't know everything about the flute, right? So I was like, I need to find a medium online that can demonstrate that I am competent, but I am also not the most all-knowing flute being in the world, right? Because that is authentically me, right? So that's how I did it, right? Like I really examined what was it about my imposter syndrome, the questions I was asking myself, through by having imposter syndrome. Like I examined where those questions were coming from, what was exacerbating those questions, and I made steps to correct those things, right? Some of you guys, which I don't think those people that I'm talking about are even in the chat right now, but some of you guys among my subscribers really did not take it well. Some people absolutely hated the fact that I started to stream more and like literally wrote in the comments that they were subscribed to me for those tips and tricks. And so I should be making those videos, which of course made me realize that that's not the audience I want. So I had to let it go. I had to be like, well, too bad. This is me. Like, I'm sorry that I gave you a wrong impression of who I am. I realize that now. I realize that I was giving a very wrong impression of myself. So I made the steps starting last year to correct that. And let me tell you guys, it has been the most amazing thing for my mental health. My goodness, my imposter syndrome is way less debilitating now. Every now and then it'll still creep up, but not very often anymore. Like it happens very like just maybe once every few months now. Like it doesn't really pop up in my head anymore, but it's because I've been working at it every day on Twitch. Yeah. So yeah, I miss my vids too, to be completely honest with you guys. But I realize now that it was not the most healthy for me. Yeah. Yeah. Cassie, you're nervous about your master's audition. You don't know how you'll rank up against other flutists auditioning for the same programs. Did I have this feeling? Oh, honey, I did. I actually purposefully did not audition to some places because I was like, there ain't no way I'm getting in. Why am I bothering? Like, that's how bad it was for me, you know? So how did I get over it? I stopped caring. If that makes sense. And the reason I stopped caring was because I failed one master's audition. And I realized I was not dead. I failed it, which is like the worst thing that can possibly happen to you at an audition. I failed it, okay? Failed it, did not get into the original program I wanted to get into. And I realized that I was still fine, that I was not dead. And I actually went on to like, I worked in like two studios teaching students. My students were very successful. I also was invited to be a chamber ensemble director for a church. And I put together like this program. I auditioned the kids, put them into groups and stuff like that. And I am so proud of this program that I put on. Like, I ended up doing other professional things in my gap year between failing a master's audition and then taking my next one. And in that gap year, I really kind of realized it's okay to fail. I'm not dead. And like, that year was very healing for me. It made me realize that I can go into my next audition and fail it again and still be fine. So that's how I stopped caring, because I realized that I could fail and yet nothing would happen to me. So I went into my second audition completely not caring. I was so ballsy that I passed out my business card to my panel. I treated it as a networking experience. Okay, maybe don't do that. But like, that's how ballsy I was for my second audition. And it was because I failed my first one. And like, I spent a gap year realizing that I was completely fine and that people still regarded me as a professional because I had graduated with my undergrad, right? Oh, right, Claire, I'm Twitch. There you go. I am twitch.tv/justanotherflutist. There we go. I'll put it right there. There we go. Yeah. Everyone else is wondering when you'll find out that they're frauds. There's a revelation to realize that's a revelation to realize that. Absolutely, Jay Cortez. Yep, that's it. That's it. Oh, Leon. I mean, like, I would say that, like, I share with you guys, I think because, one, it is very healing for me. And two, this is the type of content I would like to see, personally, you know. Hey, Alonzo. How are you? Welcome, welcome. You doing all right? Yeah, it was ballsy. Oh, Leon, that's a great way of putting it. Know your own limitations, but do not limit yourself. That's a great way of putting it. That is a great way of putting it. Yeah. Jay Cortez. I just saw what you said. That I never came across to you as a know-it-all, but just as someone who really loved my instrument. I'm glad that I came across that way to you. I'm glad. I know for a fact I did not come across that way to everyone, though. So, But yeah, guys, I did the ballsy thing and I passed out my business card to my panel. Maybe don't do that. But you could see that they loved it. They were all smiling. Yo, I'm not gonna lie, okay? If I was a professor, okay, and some kid walks in and like, I shook hands with all of them. I went right up to them and I stuck out my hand to shake hands with all of them. Okay, this was pre-COVID, all right? And I shook hands with all of them. And then afterwards, I passed out my business card to all of them. If some kid came in and did that to me, okay, if I was the professor on the panel, I'd be like, I want to teach that kid. Yeah, so Cassie, I want you to know that you are great the way you are, okay? However you stack up against other people is not something that you are in control of, all right? And if you do fail, nothing's gonna happen to you, okay? So walk in there and be like, oh well. It be what it be. Put the burden of choosing who gets to be part of the studio back onto the panel. That is the panel's burden to bear, not yours. Your only burden is to show up and play the pieces. That's it. Yeah. Basically, I said that. That was basically it, Josh. Let me give you my card and we can talk about the details later. Took Dame Joan 3+ auditions to get into the Met. See? Ah, I see, Cassie. A lot of your friends haven't experienced the master's audition process. Oh, it's weirdly more high intensity and yet like a smaller pool at the same time. Do you feel that too? Like, I definitely felt that about master's auditions. It's definitely a smaller pool of applicants, but it is more high intensity. And I think that was one of the reasons why I let the intensity get to me the first time around. And that turned out to be a totally okay experience. Like, it was totally okay for me to have the experience of letting the intensity get to me, failing the audition, because, well, I apparently went super ballsy for my second one. Did any of my panelists become my teachers? Yes. One of them was my teacher, was my future teacher. Yeah. She actually walked me into the room. She's so kind, guys. She's like an angel. She was so kind. So she actually did a like mini lesson with me before the audition and then walked me into the audition. It was very unusual. Very, very unusual. She's just such an angel. Yeah. Your foot joint got stuck on the body. Ooh. I don't know what to tell you, Caleb. If you cannot get it off, you're going to need to have a technician pry it off for you. Yeah, I'm not a technician, so I'm sorry. I don't really know what to tell you. What kind of tea am I drinking? Margaret is asking. Oh, it's a very simple tea. This is just an English breakfast tea. And I have foamed some almond milk to go on top. This time I decided to be a little bit fancy, and I put in a very small splash of vanilla extract and a very small little kind of sprinkling of sugar to wake it up a little bit. And let me tell you, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm in a cafe. I'm like, this is part of my self-care, guys. This is my self-care, is foaming my milk to go on top of my tea and my coffee. It just makes me feel so luxurious, if that makes sense. It just feels luxurious, and it just kind of like, I don't know, it's a self-care thing. I foam my milk every day now. It's so unnecessary, but it just makes me feel so cared for. Like I cared for myself. Like, I guess that's what self-care means. Okay, but you know. Josh, you funny. How on earth do you foam almond milk? Ah, Jay Cortez, you have asked a great question. It took me a long time to figure this out. Okay, here's how I do it, guys. All right, so I eyeball like about half the amount that I want to put into my tea or my coffee. Okay, I eyeball that amount into the saucepan. Okay, and then I put the heat on, like turn on the element, and I stare at it. Okay, until it just starts to bubble. Because what I notice is that for the almond milk that I use, at the very least, it's like kind of a thinner almond milk. So I have to kind of wait for it to get to that bubbling point. So when it starts to kind of just starts to like bloom and bubble, you take it off the element, okay? Take it off the element, wait for it to kind of like calm down again, and it actually kind of thickens, okay? Now, while that's happening, got to make sure your French press, because I use a French press to foam my almond milk. So you got to make sure that your French press has hot water in it because it has to be warm. I learned this from my Twitch chat, okay? So while that's happening, you're keeping your French press warm, okay? So you dunk out the water and then you put in the almond milk that's like slightly thickened now, and then you pump it. So what I do is I pump through the entirety of the milk all the way through 10 times like that, okay? And then I rapidly pump the top bit to foam it, right? Like 10, 15 times. Then I take a look at it, and if it needs more, I pump it some more the whole way through again, and then I pump this part more, okay? Just the top bit. All right. And then it'll start to kind of like foam, like actually become foam. And then it kind of depends on how like silky you want the foam to be. If you want the foam to be like kind of denser, like a denser, not as like bubbly foam, but more like a dense foam, then you just pump the top bit of it. It's like the top centimeter or two of it. That's how much you pump the top bit. And then you just keep doing that, and you look, and you keep doing that, and you look until it's like the consistency that you want. It works. I've been practicing. Yeah. And then you like pour it into your tea and you be all bougie and everything. It's great. It's a great way to like bougify your tea or your coffee for the day. Yeah, yes, you can foam milk with a French press. We have a single serving French press, like one of those like really tiny ones. So that one works really well for frothing milk. Yes, Jane, your suggestion about heating the cup, it worked. Yes. So thank you, Jane. Because what was happening, right, as you guys very rightly pointed out, was that when I was putting the milk into the French press, it basically was cooling down the milk, right? So of course it's not going to foam as well. Now, it had worked with my coffee because the French press was warm from having brewed coffee in it, right? Whereas if I'm doing this tea, I'm not brewing my tea in the French press, so the French press is cold. So, thanks, Jane. So there you go, guys. I've been practicing. I found this out, the whole like just frothing the top part of it. I found that out by accident, actually, because, in the beginning when I was still kind of like figuring this out, I would often pour myself way too much milk. So like by the time I poured it all into the French press, it was like way up high. So I could not actually go like this because the volume of the milk will like double basically when you froth it. So I was like, oh shoot, I don't have enough space for it to froth, so I can only froth the top. And that's how I found out by accident that it actually helps froth almond milk. Yeah. Did I just make your day, Jane? I'm so glad. See, I want you guys to leave the stream feeling like refreshed and chilled, Yeah. Is my husband secretly a Malfoy? I mean, he could be. I would say he's like a close. He's like my husband's like a. He's mostly Ravenclaw with a tinge of Slytherin is how I would say it. Yeah. He hasn't, I don't think he's taken the Pottermore quiz before. But I would say he's definitely like mostly Ravenclaw with a tinge of Slytherin. Yeah. He's very Ravenclaw. He's very adorable. Very, very adorable. He loves his puzzles, you know? That's my hubby for you. Yes, never put cold things in hot glass. Yes, absolutely. Terry is absolutely right. Also, Terry, welcome back. How are you doing, Terry? I haven't seen you in a long time. Wait a second. Make sure you're not too tired and forget to heat your milk. Terry, did that happen to you? Are you saying this from personal experience? Hubs should do the quiz on stream. I have yet to convince him to come on stream. He says he'll do it someday, but just not now. Yeah. This is definitely super relaxing. The election and recital stress is too much. Oh my gosh, you're dealing with recital stress right now too, on top of the whole election craziness that is happening. Yeah, I've missed you so much, Terry. There's not, okay, you have not done that from personal experience. Okay, all right. Oh, you guys are so great. Yeah, so anyway, hot tip on bougifying your tea. All right. Another great way of bougifying your tea, put in some vanilla extract in there. Just like a tiny splash, tiny. Like we're talking like quarter of a teaspoon type of tiny. Like just, okay, a little bit of vanilla extract and just kind of bougify it immediately. So I tried it with my French press latte over the weekend. So over the weekend, I ended up doing a French press latte. And I was inspired from seeing a Chloe Ting, one of her like meal prep videos things. It's really funny. I find her meal prep videos hilarious because the thumbnail makes it look like it's going to be this like prim and proper kind of like thumbnail, but she is so hilariously relatable in the kitchen. Well, anyway, she made a suggestion to put turmeric and some spices along with a little bit of vanilla extract and a little bit of sugar to wake it up in her latte at home. And I was like, oh, I have those ingredients. I should really try this. So I tried it and holy crap, she's right. I didn't use quite the same ingredients as her, but it was like ballpark the same idea. And it was fantastic. Let me tell you guys. I have the ratchet recipe on my Instagram, so you guys can go check it out if you want to. But it was fantastic. It was so great. It made me feel like I was at like, a super hipster, coffee shop. Like it was fantastic. It was so good. I've really missed coffee shops. Can you tell? I've really missed coffee shops. So I'm trying to like recreate the same feeling at home. Yeah, it just takes a few extra steps, but it's just that little bit more of, gotta just bougify it. Yeah, just bougify your tea, your coffee. Oh my goodness. It just makes you feel like you're spoiling yourself, but not that you actually changed much about your tea, right? Like, come on, you were going to have coffee anyway, right? You were going to have tea anyway. And you just kind of like bougify a little bit and it's just like, oh my gosh, it just makes your day. Yeah. Yeah. Buy bulk beans and soak them in vodka. Then just keep the beans in there. Really? Oh, that will extend the life of them? Ooh. I've never heard of this. Oh, man. Oh no, Josh. After making a grilled cheese, you went to go immediately put the pan under the cold tap. Chaos ensued. No. It'll extract the vanilla. Oh. Quarantine DIY has reached Joanna. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Like, you know how other people have been like, oh, like this is my quarantine project. Like, I like renoed this part of my house. No, I've just been learning how to foam milk. That's me. That's me. I've been learning how to foam almond milk at home. So I don't have to go out and like unnecessarily expose myself to get like a $5 coffee, Jackie Bear. Wait, Jack E. Bear? Is that what you call E. Bear? I love it. Aldo Fern, welcome back. I recognize you. How is it going with the E. Bear? Oh, good old Jackie Bear. I like how you call him. It's going well, man. It's going well. This week was the first week I have been able to do a full run of the third movement from memory. And today marks a very special occasion where Twitch thought I was Marcel Moïse. Guys, I have ascended. The algorithm thinks I'm Marcel Moïse. You just heard a child cry in my apartment? Not in my apartment. Under me. I got a new home just in time for the pandemic. How awesome was that timing? Oh my gosh, very scary thinking about it, when we were going through the process of purchasing this home, there was not even an inkling that something like this would happen, and thinking back, I am so thankful. I'm so thankful that we found this place because, honestly, I think I wouldn't be able to do what I'm able to do without, like, this office, And, Hubs also gets a little bit of space, too, during the day as well, which is fantastic, When I lick my lips, it's very ASMR. Is it now? Okay. Oh, smoke everywhere. Oh no. Did I move? I did. When was the last time you caught me on stream? Because I moved last year. I've been here for like a year now. Yeah, it's been a year. Yeah, I love this place. I am thinking of rearranging this office yet again, but it's probably not going to happen until next year. There's very specific lighting that I need to get my hands on before I can kind of switch up the arrangement of this room, because what I want to do is get better lighting that can attach to my desk, and then I can flip the desk around to face that way. To you guys, all that's going to happen to you guys is that I'm just going to face a different way. And I would love for the bookshelf to actually be on that side. And that way there's a lot of room in the middle. It's not, so it won't be as cramped. Cable management will also be a lot easier to do if the table is actually against a wall. It is not currently against the wall. I'm a few feet away from the wall here. So the cables are kind of like blah, you know, everywhere. So, you know, yeah. All right, see you, Terry. Thank you so much for dropping by. I've missed you so much. Flute to piccolo video. No, I haven't seen that video. Oh, you just didn't realize I moved. Yeah, I moved. Yeah, well, now you know. I don't show a lot of my home on here. It's really just for mental privacy reasons, if that makes sense, right? Because I know that for me, if I feel like I'm showing too much of the house, it almost becomes like mentally in my head, the rest of the house becomes my office too, which I do not want. I want my work stuff to just stay in here. And mentally, that way, when I leave this office, I can feel like I went home. Does that make sense? You know, it's kind of a work from home kind of trick that you have to do. Like, you have to have a designated space for working, and then you need to jump, you know? So, oh, I don't take requests. Yeah. Yeah. So, right? Makes sense. Yeah, that's why I don't show the rest of my home. I know that a lot of other vloggers will like very happily show the rest of their home, which I get, like, you know, but it's just, I think I don't have that mental, like, I don't have the mental fortitude to still treat the rest of my home as my home if I show it on camera. I've experienced it before, and you know, like, as you guys know, you guys have seen more of my previous places that I've lived in, and you know, I just learned from those experiences that I can't do it. I can't separate the two, you know. Cassie, you see my Switch back here? You haven't played since August and you're afraid of the weeds. Yo, the weeds are pretty. The weeds are pretty. It's okay. It's okay. You can leave them. They're really pretty. They've changed. They look different now. So they actually look different now in the fall. You should go back to just look at the weeds. They're really pretty. Yeah. You think vlogging your home is ridiculous? Yeah, well, like, I wouldn't say it's ridiculous. You know, some people are very good about like privacy and, you know, making sure that they stay safe. I get it. It's just, I don't have the mental fortitude to do it. Like, I can't do it. I can only do this. I can sit here for hours on end talking to you guys, but it's just like that. I actually find like this is actually something that a lot of people don't have the mental fortitude to do. I do. I think it's great. But I can't do the vlogging thing. I can't. Yeah. You don't like Zoom meetings because it feels like an invasion? Yeah. Right? Whereas in here, I'm like, no, this is my public space. This is my work space that is public, you know? And it, like, having a space that you can devote to being seen by the public like this, it just like makes it that much more comfortable in your mind. Like, it's just mentally, it's a lot more healthy than, like, for example, sitting in the kitchen and doing like a Zoom meeting, you know, like a business meeting, you know? Like, it's just, it doesn't work, you know? Yeah. Yeah. I feel the invasion thing though. I think I just don't have the mental fortitude for that. And I have a bit of a history with that too. I think some of you guys know that I am a pastor's daughter. Surprise. All right. So I am a pastor's daughter, which means that I have had experiences of church members coming to our home to do Bible study meetings and stuff like that. And I've had some experiences where I was a child then, and a lot of adults, I think, did not realize that it would come across very poorly to this child to barge into their rooms to inspect how clean it is. That's happened to me before. Another thing that has happened to me before was that some church members came over early for the Bible study meeting. They were the ones who were early. And then my chore, because my brother and I both had chores, and my chore was washing dishes. Now, keep in mind that these people came in early. We had just finished dinner, and in the time between dinner and when the Bible study meeting was going to start, I was washing dishes. And then I basically, so I'm washing dishes, just kind of happily washing dishes. And these people who came over early, marched over to me and started straight up scolding me for still washing the dishes, as if I was lazy and waited till the last minute. Thank God my mom is not a woman to be trifled with. And she yelled at them back and said, "My daughter is doing a great job. We just finished eating dinner. Get out of the kitchen." Yeah, so I've had experiences of people from my childhood coming into my space and basically scolding me about my space. So you guys can imagine why I am very averse to privacy invasion, that kind of thing, yeah. It's nice seeing me respect myself. Thank you, Kane. I think I want to exemplify this because I think it's healthy for you guys to also keep some things to yourselves too, right? In your own lives. And if I can exemplify this, then maybe it can encourage you guys too to keep some things to yourselves. You don't have to post everything onto social media. You really don't have to. I posted 0 of my wedding photos on social media. And let me tell you, it feels good. It feels good to keep that to myself, and to just our closest family and friends, Yeah. Happily washing dishes. I mean, it's kind of my Zen thing. It's not a self-care thing, it's a Zen thing. Does that make sense? I zone out. I just kind of zone out. And I'm thinking of other things, Yeah. Jay Cortez, when you started having Zoom Teams calls at work, when the pandemic started, there was about a month of, "Is that a heart behind you?" And that's how all your teleconferences started. Oh gosh. Yeah. I know, mama bear. My mom's a mama bear. The moment you start freaking messing with her husband and her children, you are not in for a good time. My mom has defended my dad, and she's defended my brother and me. I've seen it, and it is terrifying. That sweet little lady, oh my gosh, will put you in your place if you mess with us. Yeah. How many of my friends post dinner items when eating out? Okay, I will tell you. John and I do take pictures of our food, but we don't post it to social media. We spam our family with it. The idea is this kind of this is how because we can't, we're so far away from each other. So in the place of sharing real food with each other, we share food pictures with each other. you know? So we have this thread, this private thread, where we just like spam photos of our food to each other. Because like no one else is gonna care, okay? No one else cares what you eat except your family, right? So yeah, that's where we spam. Can you think very unhappy thoughts when washing dishes? No! But Josh, you go over the day, you plan things while you're washing. Yeah, it's kind of like a Zen sort of thing. So that I'm just kind of like, I'm just like a little kid, just kind of like, we had just finished piano lessons. We came home, had dinner. We were like washing dishes before the Bible study meeting was supposed to start. And then I could just get like randomly scolded by this like random couple from church. It was so weird. Oh, yeah. Definitely, Jane. I'm so glad you called the police on that. That is just straight up assault. My goodness. One of your doctors, Leon, asked you about the clarinet cases on the table in one video appointment. I do think it is kind of interesting how suddenly everyone sees everyone's homes. And I think one is that we don't realize how much people can see through the camera like this. And then the other is that we're all so nosy. Guys, we're so nosy. Like, you can't deny it. We're nosy. We see something interesting in someone's home and we're like, ooh, okay? Like, we're all of us, okay, are guilty of this. Yeah, we're all guilty of this, okay? I have learned to only point out things that very obviously are begging to be pointed out. For example, things like Christmas decorations that are new, right? If I see something that's like very niche, where it's like a game related thing and I'm like, oh dude, I love that game, right? Like I only point those things out. I hate being one of those people going, what's that in your background? Because I'm like, I know what it's like to be asked that constantly. I don't mind, guys, the fact that you guys point out my Animal Crossing Switch. I put it there so you guys could see it. This is one of those things where I'm like, it's begging to be pointed out, right? I'm very conscious of what shows up on camera. So like, that's on purpose, okay? So I don't mind you guys pointing things out in my background, all right? I don't mind it because I'm conscious of it, okay? But like, it's one of those things that like I've had a history of it, right? Of things being pointed out in my home. This is from my childhood, right? It goes back to those memories that I was talking about. So I just never mention anything unless it's like, I like that game. Or like, you know what I mean? Like, it's something that I can relate to. I hate asking just out of the blue with no relation to me, what is that? You know what I mean? Like, I hate that because I hated it when it happened to me as a child. Yeah. By the way, Majimon Kichi, thank you for being such a great mod. I saw what you did. Thank you. It was earlier. Yeah. Oh, yes, Jay Cortez, you like seeing people's cats. Yes. See, cats are the other thing that are begging to be shown on camera, right? There are some things that are meant to be cooed, odd, paid full attention to, okay? Cats are definitely one of them. Pets of any kind, right? Like beautiful things like guitars on the walls and stuff like that. Absolutely. Like, you can absolutely say, oh, hey, that's a gorgeous guitar. You know what I mean? Like that, I think is great. But, when people ask you things that is clearly just because they're nosy, I've experienced this since I was a child, so I'm very averse to it. Yeah. Kane, you're confused as to whether your private teacher is tiptoeing around you or if she is just saying her honest opinion. It's like she's really easy on you and always says whatever I play is good. You know, there's a lot going on there. You don't know what's going on because she's teaching you with also the history of her teaching a whole bunch of other people, right? So it could be that she has found a way of teaching that, where she realizes that she needs to use positive affirmation, right? To help people learn the best. So personally, for me, the way that I've done it is I need to make sure that I give positive affirmation before I start to give constructive criticism, because I want my students to know that I recognize that they're working really hard. And I recognize that, like, hey, that thing we talked about last week or in the last 2 weeks, you've mastered it now. Great job. I can tell you're working on it, right? Like, I need to give some positive affirmation so that they know that they're doing a good job, and that when I give them constructive criticism, that it's not to say that they're bad, right? So, it could be that your teacher is kind of swinging very heavily to the side of positive affirmation. Could be from her own experience too, right? You don't know what kind of experiences she's had teaching. You're only one of her students, So you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So like, you can be a little bit more proactive, and you could say, hey, I feel like I'm having trouble here. Do you have any suggestions on what I could do here? You can be more proactive about it, because if you're proactive about it, it will signal to her that she can give more constructive criticism to you, and you will take it, right? Constructive criticism is not always taken well. And it really sucks when you're the teacher and then someone crumbles in front of you when you try to give them constructive criticism. Really sucks. I have to tell you that. Yeah. Diana, you feel me? You hate when people point things out that you know are there, but you don't want to talk about. I know. I think for me, I really appreciate it when someone points out something. So it's kind of like how you guys point out my switch there, but because you have it too. You know what I mean? Like, you can relate to me from something that I have. That I really enjoy. I enjoy that. I think that's fantastic. But the random asking what something is that has nothing to do with them is kind of like, yo, dude, you didn't have to ask that. All right, guys. Ooh, I'm over time. I need to go because we are waiting for someone to come take a look at our house. So, we will stay safe. No worries. We'll have our masks on and stuff like that. Okay. We will stay safe. Yeah, I need to go head out my office like right now. So I love you all so very much. Please stay happy, healthy, and safe. I know it's a crazy time right now. And so it's very important for you guys to, as best as you can, eat well, sleep well, hydrate. Okay. I was only drinking like maybe 25 to 50% of what I was actually supposed to be drinking prior to like 2 weeks ago. So drink enough water and do a little bit of exercise, a little bit of moving around. Okay. It's really good for you and can help you de-stress. All right. I love you all very much. Okay. I will see you guys tomorrow. If you would like to, you can come over to Twitch. I will be practicing tomorrow sometime during the day. I don't remember when, but you guys can check my website if you would like to see. All right. See you guys later. I love y'all so much. Stay healthy. Bye.